All right. Well, welcome, Talon, to our
Thank you for
workshops.
having me.
So excited to have you here. Talon is a good friend of mine from New York when I was living there in 2019, and we got to know each other a bit playing live shows, and they're in a band called Camp Bedford with some friends, and it's an amazing band. You should all check them out.
I
Um,
also was realizing we have a coordinating color scheme with these sort of yellowish.
we do.
That's
We didn't know.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. We're so excited to be chatting. I think today is the first workshop that we've had with an indie artist who's performing like you are. So I'm very excited to have you on. And with the new year, we're trying to get more variety of people on so that it kind of expands who we're chatting with and the perspectives that we get. So this is going to be great. You're kind of launching us into that. So thank you.
Wow, I'm honored and excited.
Honored to have you here. So yeah, we like to give a little background on Pandion just to start us off, just for people who aren't super familiar. And I'm very excited to announce that we just got our 501c3 certification today. So
Very
very
excited.
exciting. We've been waiting for that to come in, and it's always a little bit nerve wracking because it's so hard to get those for nonprofits, especially we're based out of LA, which is a bit competitive over there. So yeah, so we're very excited about that, and that means that we can just do a lot more with everything. So yeah, so we started back in September, and really our mission is just to create a platform that's open to anyone and everyone globally, and break down the barriers between industry professionals and emerging artists so that there's less of the gatekeeping stuff that goes on and more information widely available and resources available to anyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status or anything, um, any of their background or history. Anyone can access it. So that's our main goal. And then we have these workshops every week with different people that we host on to share their perspective and their knowledge and information with people to hopefully inspire others and just get more information out there onto the table, and readily accessible for people. And then we have these replays as well. So if you can't make it to the live session, because everyone's in all places around the country and the globe, so it's hard for some people to
Yeah.
get here
What
for the
time is
live.
it in Melbourne right now?
It is 6 a.m.
Oh
Woo!
my gosh. Wow. Thanks for
Yeah.
waking up for this.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily it's only 1 day a week for me, so I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not the best morning person, so I'm proud of myself to wake up this early. Um, but hey, Vincent, thanks for coming. Um, yeah, so we're just really excited to have everything rolling now, and we're going to be launching a mindfulness wellness kind of series program that we're going to start doing as live streams. So not workshops, but we're just going to have like two people leading it each week, and just because the yeah mental health is a huge thing in the artist community and not available enough to like especially like touring artists and artists who have a lot of pressure coming from all different areas of their lives and don't have access to resources for that. So yeah, hopefully that will help out a bit and will be free like all of our resources are, fortunately. So yeah, that's pretty much who we are, and then a little background on Talon before we jump in. They are a cellist, songwriter, and professional poet based in Brooklyn, New York, and one third of the pop folk trio Camp Bedford, their band, and play regularly in New York City and the surrounding areas. And yeah, Talon's just, I have felt so privileged to be able to follow your path the past couple years and just all the amazing things you're constantly doing. It's just been really incredible. I love seeing how many indie artists just find their own, their own way, and like you're just the most amazing entrepreneur in my mind, and you've just
Well,
created such a world for yourself, which is so cool. And it's just, I was just speaking to somebody about it yesterday, actually, just like how that is, it's like it's just so inspiring to be in the artist community and music community, to see people just like following their heart and their path and their passion, regardless of the risks that they might have to take to do that. I feel so lucky to be a part of that community. It's just like amazing to see all, and then the people that I get to know, and then it's just like so amazing to watch the paths. So yeah, so thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, if you want to maybe fill in just like a little background information on yourself that, go into a little more detail for people before we fully jump in, that would be great.
Yeah, I am originally from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I did go to a performing arts high school there, which set me up, I guess, for this sort of life. And moved to New York 10 years ago, which I have a poem about that I'm going to share at the end, because it's about community as well. And I spent several years doing all kinds of stuff that was not fulfilling and trying to figure out why it wasn't fulfilling, and hanging out with people that were great people, but just not quite my people. And like I was very stubborn about a lot of it, about insisting that no, but I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing all the right things. And then, yeah, it's scary to kind of listen and be like, what do I actually want to do? What is actually calling to me? And that has led me to the band, several bands, that this one now specifically that I'm in, and playing music, and finding on the spot typewriter poetry as another job that I do. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. That's just, it was such a creative thing for you to start doing, and as like an artist, you have to be creative with the ways that you like do your art, I guess. And that was just like such an amazing thing. I think so cool seeing all your, and you do it in Central Park mostly, and
Normally Central Park, and although this summer there was some busking turf wars in the park. There's like
oh my God,
some
wow.
drama amongst the typewriter poetry park busking community, which I never thought I would, was a sentence
Wow.
I would say. But so usually you can find me and a friend of mine near Bethesda Fountain if it's warm enough, if we go out. But yeah, there's really specific areas where one should be, I guess, as a typewriter poet. And then I do that at like parties and weddings and events now as well. So
Awesome. That's amazing. How fun. It must be a really great way to connect with people, just like strangers and
that's
anyone.
why I love it very much.
Yeah,
It,
amazing.
yeah.
So cool. Um, well, I'm going to ask you the first one question that I think is a fun thing to ask people, and I always love to hear the answers. Is what was your first music memory? And then
Mm.
also that can lead into like what made you decide that you wanted to do music as a career?
Yeah, my first music memory is is my dad making up songs, like making up lyrics to songs that already existed, where he would like, we'd put on a record and he would just make up the lyrics to be about like what we were doing in our day, like improvising songs. And it was such a sweet thing that we shared. And like I remember he really loved the Yes album, one of the Yes albums, I'm not sure which one, but he would like, yeah, walk around the house doing things, making up lyrics and just humming along. And so I, as a kid, was always just like making up songs around and like be like humming while I did art, or yeah,
Amazing.
anything. I'd just be in my life singing and humming all the time.
Love that. That's great. Did you, and you said you went to music school. I didn't realize. Was
Oh,
that like, was that primary school kind of thing
yeah.
or?
So I went to a performing arts high school, and I started with orchestra, and then midway through, had to have a concentration, and I started with orchestra and theater, and then switched into theater and pursued that for a while. And got back into music actually at during a study abroad program in Amsterdam, doing experimental theater stuff. I kept bringing music into my projects. And then that's how actually the first band I was in, called Cardboard Rocket Ship, which we have
Yeah.
played on the same bill together with when you lived here. I met that bandmate in that program because we were doing theater, but bringing music to all of our projects. And then he was like, do you want to do this actually. And yeah,
Nice. That's
that's how that,
cool. Cool way
yeah.
to get into that. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah, and I was excited about the topic for this because for me, playing music has always been, I mean, yes, it's like a solo activity to process my feelings in my life, but I prefer it to be collaborative and prefer it to be a community friend-based experience. So I always have the most fun being in bands.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking about that recently too. I've been playing as a duo more lately, which I love for different reasons, but I always prefer playing with like a full band for that. Just like having that, the connection between the band members and like the audience is just always so fun.
Yeah. And when I was transitioning out of pursuing theater, I kind of had this realization of like the saddest thing for me would be when a play ended and then that group of people leaves and maybe you stay in touch,
Mm,
but it's like you build this little family and then it disperses. And I was like, wait, with a band, we can just have that for as long
yeah.
as it works. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
perfect.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's a good segue into like talking more about like the whole networking thing and then also just finding like collaborators. We've talked about that a bit with our community members through Pandion because a lot of our members right now are from certain songwriting courses that have really emphasized that like finding your people and the people that you like click with musically and then
Mhm.
to work together. So yeah, you and Roxanne, the two of you have been kind of like partners, songwriter. Do you both
Yeah.
write together
We
also?
do. A lot of times someone will write a whole song and then bring it to the band, to the project, but we also have times where we write together, and that's
Yeah.
really fun because we both, I think, surprise each other and new stuff comes up.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
How did you meet each other?
We actually met through the first band I was in, through Cardboard Rocket Ship, where Will like brought us both together. And so we met as in a musical collaborative environment, which was pretty cool, and then became like best friends and platonic life partners. So
Yeah,
that's
nice.
worked out. Yeah.
Good to have some of those for sure. That's
Mhm.
great. Yeah, that's because I think it's so important to like have people that you like really vibe with who can you support each other in your careers and kind of help each other grow and are along for the ride kind of seems like a
Yeah.
really amazing thing to have. Um, what would you say, like, do you think as like an artist yourself, could you imagine yourself doing it as a solo, or is that something like you've always kind of like,
Yeah, it's actually funny because my friend Vincent, who's here, we were just talking about this the other day, that I have released some solo stuff and I am interested in playing some like solo shows occasionally, but even then I want other musicians to collaborate with me on my solo stuff. Yeah, I feel like working entirely alone is it just, I don't know, but I suppose it feels like a different artistic exercise to me. It's like writing a song alone or just having something that I work on for myself is maybe the, emotional processing part of it and what I need to do. But then in terms of sharing it with other people, I always like to have, yeah, a few people involved and to
yeah,
experience that. Also to see what other artists bring to my work is always really cool. Like if someone hears a harmony or another um, instrumental part that I didn't think of or I didn't hear, that's always very cool to me.
yeah, yeah, I love that. That's so great. It's always great to have different perspectives creatively.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, yeah, if you wanna, you have some stuff to share, I think, with
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
We can,
for sure. And also,
oh yeah, go ahead.
no, just a lot of it is just kind of like the philosophy behind why I think building community is so important.
Yeah,
Some of it is, I guess, some advice or of how to do it, but mostly it's, you know,
that's great. Yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and jump into that, and then at the end we'll have a little like Q&A again, and I might ask some more questions. But yeah, yeah, you can go ahead and share.
yeah. I have and I sent all these to Jordan, so she'll send them after. But a quote that I love that Brene Brown said is that those who have a strong sense of love and belonging have the courage to be imperfect. And I think that kind of feels like a thesis about why having a musical or creative artistic community feels so helpful and important, is that you can make, having people that you feel safe to make mistakes around or to try things, and it's not anything that's going to end up on the album or in a live performance, but you're safe to work it out together. I think you grow artistically very importantly that way, and you learn more about what you want to make and how to communicate with people. I also think like being in a band or working with people it's such a specific relationship that has to be so we have to learn how to communicate with one another and how to have healthy conflict. It's like a relationship. And then in building those relationships and communities with each other, I find that people show up for each other in ways, in way like artistically, but then also personally, or it all feeds into itself. If you feel artistically fulfilled, fulfilled in your heart, all that stuff. And then, like you said about how to find people that you vibe with musically and stuff. I think open mics are a great way to do that, of just going and seeing who's playing. And then you mentioned the songwriting workshops. We've talked before about this place called School of Song, which my friends from high school co-founded. And it's these virtual workshops where they have notable songwriters, musicians like lead a 4-week course, for example, and you have assignments where you have to write something and then share something with each other. And I've made, even though it's virtual, they set up like virtual song sharing exercises, and then they have some in-person song sharing things. And because places like that, they have an emphasis on being really vulnerable and open and caring and kind with each other. So I feel like it's led to a lot of really beautiful community building of, I'm going to share this thing with you. You will take it lightly and nicely and then share something back. And so through that, I've made some musical compatriots and some like really great friends and people. And then the open mic scene here, I feel like finding somewhere where people that you are interested in hang out and then just start hanging out there is basically how I've done it. And then I wrote, I typed out, so on my typewriter, 10 commandments of community building, according to me. So you can listen to these or not. And I'll explain what they mean. Number 1 is stay curious. I think going to play, even though, you want to find the places that are like your places that feel great, but I think also showing up at a jam or, a show that wouldn't normally be your vibe or your thing that you think, and trying it anyway. Number 2 is don't hide, which is the hardest, of show up as yourself, try to talk to some people. Just like be weird and whoever you are, because everybody in the arts is a little bit weird. And then number 3 is show up. So just being at shows, just being places. When people reach out to personally invite me to a show, I find that so effective, actually. Like I used to be like, oh, I'll just post something on Instagram and hope people show up, which sometimes works. But when you get an actual invite from someone, it actually, I find it very meaningful. I'm like, oh wait, I will use, even if it's a copy paste message, like you still took the time to seek out my name or phone number and said that. Just when you can, just being there, showing up. And then on that, also number 4 is honor your energy. Like don't push yourself because don't go to a show every night if it's going to kill you, but like finding out, the balance of how to present the self that you want to present to people. Number 5, be truthful, which is similar to Don't Hide, but I used to try, I think out of insecurity, try to make it seem like I was farther along in a career than I was. And, it's nice when people are honest and say like, oh yeah, I'm just starting out, or I'm just trying this, or I've never played in this venue before. I've never played with these people before, anything like that. Just like be honest about where you're at, because people are either also there or they've been there. And even like when I've been around much more accomplished musicians, nobody is like a dick about that, unless if they are, they're not who you want to hang out with. Stay present, just paying attention to things. Number 7 is embrace that which alights your enthusiasm. So pay attention to the stuff that you're like, whoa, I love this, or this person, or this space. Like, yeah. And number 8 is pay attention to people and places that feel warm. Specifically, like if you show up somewhere and you're like, wow, I just feel really great here. Why? Is it the music that's happening? Is it the people that are there? The space itself just very cozy? Is it kind of all of that? Do more of that, more of those people, those places. Number 9, pay attention to people who make you feel seen. And then number 10 is help others feel seen. So that's just, paying attention and listening. That's that. And you'll all get this at the end that Jordan has.
Send that to everyone, yes. And I
Yeah.
posted on our Creator Circle Facebook page too. Thank you. That was so perfect. I loved all that.
Yeah.
Such good things to remember, and just like
Thank you.
keep in the back of your mind as you go forward with as a musician.
Yeah. And just like, I think also with that is remembering that we all want community and belonging. It's a common human thing. It's not like embarrassing or, feeling isolated and alone sucks, but it's also like to crave and want your people. I think everybody does. So that's helpful, I think, to remember,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a hard thing for, I would say, most of us, just like finding your people and like how to do that. Like, especially if you're more of an introvert, or if you don't live in a
Yeah.
place where there's a lot of stuff going on, that can be kind of like a definitely a like a lonely place to be if you don't have the community around you
Yeah.
that you're looking for, that you like seeking.
It's a
But
very good point. Enforcing things like that, I think things like a virtual, like I sound like a School of Song evangelist because like they're my friends who started it. So I think it's very cool. But even like something like that, like they do a really good job of the virtual community, of having a Discord server, of like someone that I consider one of my best friends, who was supposed to show up to this, but we'll see. We'll watch it. Yeah, I know. We met through School of Song, and we met through just chatting virtually. And then he lives in Montreal, and
Mm,
he visited New York, and I'll visit Montreal at some point. But we fully met through just like connecting over music. So in a virtual
that's
setting. Yeah.
amazing. I love that. Yeah, School of Song. I'll put a little link in here for people also who want to know School of Song. I also know somebody else who's done School of Song, and I've only heard just incredible things about it.
Mm.
Um, yeah, if anyone else has heard of School of Song, I would love to know. Um,
And I mean,
but
I'm sure it's not the only one. It's just the one that I know of and
yeah,
had with like
yeah. I think it's
finding
a
community.
really, I think it
Are.
seems like a really cool one for
Mhm.
people who want to connect with like indie artists who have really built their careers really well to a point where they're doing it full, pretty much full. I think a lot of them maybe are doing it full time, or just, making it the center of their lives. Um, and yeah, so I think I mean, it seems like a lot of the songwriters who are featured in the course are well known, like people
Mhm.
that you would know as an indie artist who are following the scene a bit. Yeah, so it's a cool thing. Yeah, yeah, just building the community on there is
Yeah, because I know that a lot of my experience, and therefore my advice, is living in New York City for 10 years. So I have the accessibility of going to a bunch of venues, of going to open mics, of trying things. So yes, I
Yeah.
am
Yeah, and
that
just
for
pushing yourself to do that kind of thing can be hard, but definitely worth it if you're looking for community. Um, yeah, and now there are so many virtual options too for people that makes it easier if you don't have
sure.
access to a city or places to go.
Yeah.
um, yeah, cool. Well, thank you for sharing those. Those things are amazing. Um, did you have anything else to share? Should we go back into and we can open a Q&A as well?
Yeah, I have, if it's interesting, a poem I wrote about uh, you know, New York and stuff, and about being, which I'll send everybody to. And it yeah, I'll read that right now just as my general like, so I feel about things.
Perfect.
Okay. So I've lived in New York City for 10 years today, and my first winter here, I thought I'd make it another 3 tops before running back west. New York has seen the peaks of my bests and the pits of my worsts, and so far, it's always given me more reason than not to stay. I've lived in the city for 10 years and I've moved apartments 10 times. I've fallen in love with 6 people and nursed 12 to 17 broken hearts back to health. I've had 18 different jobs, 6 different therapists, 5 different hair colors, and 3 different names. When I say I've lived in New York for 10 years, I mean I've lived in the dollar slice after a Rockwood show, in the strangers who stop for a poem in the park, in the 7 p.m. summer sunlight on brownstone bricks, in holding the subway doors open for the person who's just about to make it, in rooftop evenings and pop-up markets, friendsgivings and clothing swaps and themed parties, in the new neighbor on my street who helped me bring up the dresser and all my best furniture was free. New York is the people most of all to me, including the best versions of me that I seem to keep finding in it. That's that.
Oh, beautiful. I
Thanks.
love that. Wow, that
Oh,
makes
thank
me miss New York
I know,
a
I know.
lot.
Which again, I'm like, being very city focused and whatnot. But I remember someone said that one time that New York is people, and yes, it's also like many cities, like what can be done here. There's just access to a lot. But I find that yeah, just having a community has felt like what makes it the place that people want to be.
Yeah, that was something I felt I was really surprised by when I moved there was that if like after I got settled in, I was like, wow, I can really understand now why people love New York so much because it felt like, and this was kind of like an eye-opening thing for me to realize, maybe others or have already realized it a million times over, but I it felt like a small town in a lot of ways because and that was like a weird thing for me to be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense though, because it was like each little neighborhood of the city was like so tight knit that it felt like this giant city had kind of created these little subsections that were small communities within the big one. And that made it like what it is in my mind. It seems like if it was just a bunch of people wandering around with nowhere to go and had no connections with each other, that would be a
Yeah,
completely different thing. But it felt like what people love about small towns is that everybody knows each other and you have your one shop that's available, so everybody goes to that same shop and everybody like sees each other every morning, and it was kind of like that within the little subsections that I noticed. It's like you had your favorite coffee shop down the street and you would see everyone all the time. You'd see the same people and you'd see the same people walking by, and that was what made it special, is like the connections that you'd have with the people around you. Even in such a big city, it was still possible. And that was like really just a thing that was like, what doesn't matter where you are in the world, or it could be the biggest city in the world, but still it comes down to that connection with people. And yeah, it's a cool
and
thing
music, especially, I think, is really can be that way, where you show up at the
definitely.
same sort of places and you end up just seeing people that you recognize, and
Yeah,
it does feel
definitely.
very cool that way. And I'm sure that's the case in many cities and many places, that
Yeah.
you just end up getting into a flow of people. But yeah, I think there was an article that came out in the beginning of COVID about, I forget what they're called, but like the relationships you have with like baristas and bartenders and your hairdresser, like these people that aren't actual friends necessarily, but you see them regularly and they're such a part of your life and your community and you care about each other's well-being, like that those are missing that is sometimes makes one lonelier than being far away from a friend or families or
Yeah.
like a lover. Just not having access to that sort of sense of community of just people that you recognize in your world was one of the loneliest parts of like isolation in the earliest pandemic. And I think that's so true. I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, yeah, you
Yeah.
having people who know your bagel order or whatever
Right.
is so it makes you feel a part of it. It makes you feel like
Yeah.
seen and noticed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my dad has had the same barber for like 30 years, and I remember, and then they like stopped doing hair or something, or moved, and he like could not stop talking about it for so long, and I was like, oh my God, this is like a
It's
really
gonna
like
be
big,
okay.
huge thing in your life that I didn't realize.
No, there are in my neighborhood two bagel spots, and one of them is objectively has better bagels, but at the other one, the person behind the counter knows me, and so I'm always going to go to the one even with slightly worse bagels because we have a rapport, and
And
I
that's
like
really saying something
care
to
about
have
seeing her. I know,
options
I know.
available. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing all that. Do you have like something like any sort of advice for actual like networking when it comes to industry stuff? And is that something that you've done much, or is it mostly just like you found that through building your own community?
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice I think is if you recognize someone that you want to like work with or notice something about, like to try to talk to them actually. Like that has worked more often than not for me of like um our band is sending some demos to a producer that we saw at a show. We were on the same bill with someone in their record company, their record label. And so these producers were at this show and we were opening and they didn't see our set, but we were there. And I just went up to them and was like, we are big fans. We really like your stuff. This is what we do. And the worst they're going to say is like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying something. We're not taking on more clients right now, but like people are kind. So I think again, just like trying to be genuine and trying to put yourself out there and say something. I think people assume that people like that get solicited all the time at shows and things, but I don't know if it happens as often as we're like afraid that it happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's true. Yeah, I think
Yeah, and then just I think also just like paying attention to names of places and people that you hear in circles that you want to be around. Like if you hear the name of a studio, they're like, okay, this person seems to have recorded at that studio, and this person, like interesting. That studio is standing out. And then finding a way to like, oh, who do I know who might know someone who knows someone at this space? And I think the balance is to be met of building a community that is people you want to work with, of having like, I think that can feel maybe disingenuous to try to like be friends with someone that you admire and you want to work with, but I don't think it necessarily is. Like those can be the same thing.
yeah, that's a good thing to point out, definitely. Yeah, I think that that fear of like overstepping something or not doing something the correct way, or maybe like doing something that's not
Yeah. Or
like
I
that
think
can
just
be,
just yeah, if you meet someone that you're interested in working with or think is cool, I think just again going back to the like don't hide and just like tell them what you're up to and be as enthusiastic about your projects as you are, because that also will translate. And I think people want to work with enthusiastic people.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that one, the don't hide. That's a really good thing
I got
to
that
follow.
from sort of from a School of Song course from Phil Elverum. He had a
Nice.
whole thing about not hiding in the songs that you write, which also I thought was great, of like not shying away from the feeling under it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, like Sunday evening, because of someone that I met at a show where I also met Vincent, I ended up Sunday evening in a room full of studio musicians who record for like Taylor Swift and um, Caroline Polachek and Maggie Rogers. And I
Wow.
was just hanging out with these new people and kept being like, oh, I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I like kind of play cello, which is a thing I would tell people forever. And then I was like, what is that? Like, I don't kind of play cello. I play cello. And yeah, just like in the practice of just saying that, right? Like, this is me and what I do. And also accepting like, do I think I'm going to like get a job out of this one hang with these studio musicians? No. But the next time I see any of them around, it will be very cool to be like, oh yes, hello. We had a chat at that bowling alley on Sunday night. Like, great. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's great.
yes, things could lead to things. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it always comes down to the people that you meet and connect with and know, and it seems like that really opens a lot of doors usually. That's so cool. Where was it that you were hanging out with them?
At the gutter bowling alley, they were like going bowling and ended up inviting me because I talked to someone. That was it.
Nice.
And they're like,
That's
oh, we're
awesome.
going bowling if you want to come. I was like, sure. Yeah, it was for someone's birthday, so a
Cool.
pretty wild invite. But yeah.
Nice. I love that. Cool. Well, I'm going to start. I want to introduce Rebecca first of all, since
Yeah.
you're now Rebecca. Rebecca's my colleague and started this whole adventure with Pandion. Um, yeah, so welcome, Rebecca.
Hi,
Hello.
Talon.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It was so great to hear all your stories, like it, about New York and the community, and just having your whole life kind of flash between before our eyes, and a few nice poetic words, and I love that. That was really great. Yeah, I mean, New York is great because you have all the old places where they used to play, like Bleecker Street, right? And some of the folky scene, and then it's moved on and around. I never lived in New York more than 2 months, but that's still something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we talk about, like, since we're international, we talk about national, like everyone in the US and then people in Sweden, or I'm calling you out, Andreas, and people all around the world, and I feel like everyone has their little community, and how do we community build within that, getting coffees, getting juices brought to you magically by somebody like an angel, handsome angel dude. So yeah,
Wouldn't we
yeah,
all be so lucky to get juices brought to us by a handsome
That's the
angel?
ultimate goal.
I guess what I mean is, like, your hairdresser, or whoever that could be, the coffee maker, you get to know them, and then you find out, oh, this person's a producer, or this person's a songwriter, and hey, want to come by the studio, or do you want to meet up for some coffee and then talk? I think those are great ways to begin, and certainly that's kind of how Jordan and I became uh we got closer. In fact, I would call everybody out in this room except Vince, and I haven't with know you. I don't know you yet, but and Talon, but the rest in this group I have connected with really beautifully, either in songwriting or in just friendship. And these are people I have not met in person except for Jordan. And
Yeah.
Sam was just on for a second. I met him in person because he's in California, Whittier. And so what I love about whether it's your in-person, meet up with the coffee maker, and you hook up, or it's virtual, and like, hey, let's do something, it's almost like dating but songwriting, it's like, it's really great because you're getting to know someone, you're getting to feel them out, and how do we connect, and you usually, I don't know, with me, I usually end up loving everyone. I'm like, oh, I just want to keep working with you. But yeah, so it's just so much fun to get to meet and know more people, and it's fun to also see people advance in their career, even in a short period of time, and I love that. So any any perspective that you would have that it has been like an amazing piece that really helped your career as an indie artist and helped in like in that format of your community building, what like secret spice or sauce that did you add to that, or is it just being you and being open? Maybe you can give us a little highlight
Yeah, I
behind that.
think I know that like I'm definitely an extrovert, so that is part of it that is just like um handy to be the sort of person who likes to just talk to people. But I think yeah, being the first commandment, I think, of being curious has been so helpful, of like going to shows that might not be the type of music I normally listen to, but like I ended up after the show where I met Vincent, the act that was after was like this trio of instrumentalists, and it was so strange but so beautiful and cool. And this guy played with like, how do I even describe it? Like he had like strings of seashells that he used as percussion, and it was just like the coolest like transcendental thing. And that's not anything that I normally would have seen, like, I don't know, an advertisement for it and be like, yes, instrumental music involving seashells sounds like something I want to see. And then it was so beautiful and powerful and cool. Yeah, so I think just being really open to people and experiences, and I think really like truly listening to people about what they're making and what lights them up, and not just waiting for, okay, I want to talk to you to talk about my thing and what I want to do, but really taking in like, what is this person doing and what is exciting to them? Because I think you might get some new ideas, or you might learn new things about ways you want to work that you didn't know yet.
Hmm, that's
That's great.
nice.
That it helps you as an artist and a musician too, for sure. Seeing things
Yeah,
that you're not that are out of the box for you, that aren't that you're
right,
not so used to. Yeah, that's so cool. And also helps you meet more people.
right, because maybe, yeah, maybe like the guitarist in this trio act would be someone that, like, wait, that was like beautiful stuff that he was doing, sort of flamenco guitar style. Maybe I would want to, I don't know, just play music with someone like that. Anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. If anyone else has questions too, feel free to pop them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. um, yeah, I think I was gonna ask you actually about like if there was anything, do you, I guess, like, do you think that your music path looks different now than what you'd expected when you first started? And was there anything that kind of like shifted something for you, or yeah, I would be curious.
Yeah, I a couple of things sort of brought about by the pandemic, but definitely at least like changeover in bands and projects that I was in, because the pandemic just dissolved one of them. But I think before the pandemic, I was so like, I don't know, I felt like I was like rushing for no reason. There was just like a timeline I'd put in my head of like where we should be in certain stages. And I think after being forced to slow down, and when there were no venues to play in and things like that, uh, it made me really go back to like, why do I play music on the first place, and in the first place, what do I love about collaborating? The things that are not yeah, necessarily like career or goal focused, but what is the reason I do it in the first place anyway? And that's, I think, also just led to more authentic connections with people, is when you're showing up with like, I'm doing this because this is what I love about it. And yeah, I want other people to hear it and to make these steps and stuff, but
Mhm.
I would do it anyway. That kind of finding that again has been really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see some questions. We have played upstate. We played in Pine Plains over the summer, which was so nice. And I would love to play upstate more. This summer would be really nice also.
Nice.
Favorite venue or one on the horizon? What great question. My favorite venue to play here, I mean, maybe is Rockwood Stage 2 so far is just a classic and I really love it. But we really want to play at either the Sultan Room or Baby's All Right next, I think. And those are just lovely, exciting. What next thing will we conquer is putting out some new songs finally, which yeah, 15 minutes from you, Pine Plains. That's so cool. It was at Rosie's. Yeah, it was at Rosie's. It was really cute. I loved it. But yeah, I think the next thing on the horizon is releasing these songs. We'll have a rollout in February and March. We have a few songs coming out. So that's really exciting. And it's then we'll have some kind of release show. Yeah. So that's that stuff.
New
But
music.
I love upstate New York in general too. And I feel like there are like Kingston has a really strong music community up there, and there are just places. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the great thing about the East Coast too, is it's so easy to train around and yeah,
Places.
a lot
Yes.
easier than the West Coast.
Like the West Coast where everything is so far away too.
Yeah, so far away. Yeah, much easier for touring.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool, Vicky. You should definitely follow them. They'll probably be up there again soon. Um, yeah,
Oh my
Vicky's
gosh.
there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's all so great. It's been so lovely just hearing your path and story. Um, I also, yeah, how does like I was thinking about this because, like, I think it's been hard for me personally, and I've talked to friends about this, like, kind of balancing, like, like when you're really into your songwriting side and like focusing on music, and then balancing that with like the whole community building, networking, and that kind of thing.
Mhm,
Like, I
mhm.
think to me, which is maybe a fault that I've kind of separated them a lot in my mind. So I feel like when I'm working on like songwriting and perfecting like my like shows and stuff like that, I'm kind of like hyper focused on that, and I kind of turn the other side off, and then I like kind of flop back and forth instead of combining the two. And
Totally.
was curious if you have experience with that at all and what you would be.
Yeah, I think once again, just like being how I am, I'm the sort of person that if I'm not around people, I'll go crazy. Like that's kind of my if I isolate and create alone for too long, I'll like really feel like stir crazy and miss that. So maybe some of it is just my own, like, I need to go do something. What shows are happening tonight? But I try to like, yeah, because I definitely also understand periods of just feeling more insular and like you're in a creative time. And I think knowing that you don't have to like talk about what you're in the process of creating with people when you're going out and trying to network and see things, you can like that can still exist kind of close to your chest and to your heart, and you can have that space and then like put it down and go. It's almost like putting on a different coat or something, you know, of being like, yes, this is my soft inside person, and we'll let them stay here, and then I'm going to put on this coat of um networky being out in the world. Yeah, is that helpful?
Yeah, yeah, it is definitely. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's a great analogy.
it
Like it's
is.
and the coat also symbolizes, comfort and
Right.
you're gonna put your flashy coat on and you're gonna go out and socialize and then you're gonna put your warm, cozy coat on that's gonna like
Yeah, when
envelop you
you're
like a blanket.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you're
definitely.
gonna go have hot chocolate with Jordan or something, or
right, right. And I think realizing, especially when you are talking to other artists in the world and stuff, like everybody is probably having some kind of soft, vulnerable thing that they're thinking about at this very moment. Like we're all like in
Yeah,
that already. Um,
yeah, artists are that way. I mean, producers are artists. I mean,
yeah.
we're all vulnerable by,
yeah.
we're being brave by putting our music out there.
And then Vincent just asked about tips on networking and being social without overwhelming or taking on too much, I think is a great
Yeah.
question.
Good
And that's
question.
kind of in the little commandments of show up, but then also honor your energy. I think just like that's kind of the balance to find of how when is it, or maybe it could be one show a week. It doesn't have to be like four, which sometimes I'll look at my weeks and be like, wow, I went to four things this week, which is wild. But even just like, yeah, I think maybe in that case it helps to be really intentional about, first of all, checking in, about being honest with yourself of like, if you are not, if you don't have the spoons to go out and do something, like it will be okay, and people will be here and the city will be here and everything. But I think checking in with like what social or networking experience is going to feel the best and maybe feel the most regenerative and restorative. If it's like, okay, well, I know this venue feels really cozy and I love being in this venue, so I'm gonna maybe go here because these people are playing here and that'll be nice. Or if it's like a group of people, you're like, I'm gonna make a point to just do this thing with these people. um yeah, and then like knowing when to save the kind of exploratory, try new things parts of yourself for when that feels accessible. Like I think not pushing it to be like, oh, I should be going out and doing these things, I should be trying this stuff and being curious, but knowing like yeah, when it's like sometimes also the world is really hard and sometimes scary, and sometimes you're like, yeah, I just need to hang out with the people that I already know and go to the stuff that I already know that I like because I don't have it in me to be like available to more than that right now. So yeah, that that
Yeah.
helps. Really
That's great. That was a great question. I think burnout is a common experience among artists. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, just because, yeah, you have to be putting yourself out there in so many areas and ways all the time, and it's like if you don't remember to honor your energy, sometimes for me it actually takes like I have to like take a step back and be like, okay, like I'm gonna make a point to do that because it's not just there all the time. Like I'm just doing, and then yeah, that will burnout's a real thing, and that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah,
So
right. That like the thing about honoring your energy too is also remembering like, yeah, when you are networking and meeting people and stuff, you want to feel like the version of yourself that you want them
definitely.
to know. So if you're just not feeling good or that, then you'll probably feel worse about going out and doing that. And then just knowing like someone said, which I also think is so true and appreciate, like New York will always be there was is a thing that people say a lot. And I think it is true of these, even though I've had so many experiences where I'm like, wow, this was this magical experience that was only had because these people were at the same spot at the same time. But communities and artistic communities are full of those magical experiences. So if you're worried about missing the potential for one, like they will also happen all the time,
Yeah,
I think.
true. More important to take care of yourself than like, yeah, than go to one thing that you don't want to miss and then regret it afterwards because you feel bad. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Well, I we're already at the end of our time. It just
Oh,
always blows my mind. It just like always flies by.
bye. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thank you again. And Talon has been kind enough to share those poems and a couple resources with us. So we will share that on the our Facebook group, Creators Circle, um, for everybody, and maybe Instagram too. We might, if that's okay with you, Talon, maybe we could do
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
a photo of them or something.
Totally.
Um, that would be awesome. And then you're gonna do your Ask Me Anything on Instagram. Is that, yeah, we talked
Mhm.
about that. Cool. So if anybody has questions afterwards, Talon will be available on Instagram to answer questions for the next 48 hours. And yeah, I'll put in your Instagram handles too for everybody so that they have those to check out your band. And if you're in New
Yeah.
York, to go.
Music coming soon. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
Talon,
you very much
Talon,
for having me.
and Talon, if you're ever in LA, reach out to me.
I will. I sometimes I'm in LA. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I used to
reach
be
out.
there more often. But
Yeah,
I
because
might
we
be
have a
heading
nice
home.
community. We have a nice community here, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I also know a good number of some musicians out there, so it'd be fun to run
Yeah.
over
sure,
there.
New York and
certainly.
LA, I love the like the connection between the two
Yes.
cities. As much as there's
Um,
a rivalry that exists too, it's like
right there. It's also like,
it's
but
fun.
thank you to the Pandion folks for having me. I was very
Yes,
honored
and
to be asked.
yeah, speaking of Pandion, I was trying not to say anything, but I'm gonna
So I
say
might have
it.
said it already. I think I did.
Pandion Youth Foundation just became official 501c3. Woohoo!
I said it earlier too. I was like,
Oh, you did? You did? Okay.
yeah.
So it's we just got the notice, and we are super excited. What that means is, Andreas, is like now we can get grants, we could get all kinds of stuff, and these people that give us these grants, or funders, like somebody who maybe has made it in the music industry wants to give back, they can get a tax write-off instantly. Even if they might have donated like during the syncathon, they can still get a tax write-off now that we're 501c3 official. So it means the world to a nonprofit. It's basically saying you're totally legit, you're able to now become sustainable. So anyway, speaking on that, we're doing these for the community for free, asking people who can contribute to give what they can, but mostly trying to really approach the ones that have, the bigger donors. So that's what the 501c3 comes in. So it's exciting. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you more about it, Andreas, when I talk you into working on our next song. Um, but yeah, okay, so thank you, Talon. I'm really, really grateful that you came on, and your energy is so special and beautiful.
Oh, wow. Thank you
Nice.
so much. Also, I will have Jordan send me everyone's music here that I haven't heard if
Yes,
you
I will do that for definitely.
sold.
Definitely.
And see now with things with networking connecting, now we know people in Melbourne, Sweden, LA,
Yeah.
upstate New York.
So
We have,
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Have
Yeah,
a good
thank you for being here. I'm
day,
so happy to
everybody.
chat. All
Bye-bye.
right. Thanks everyone for coming.